So Reaver Scouts, Reaver Hunters are back, and our time is now, or is it? Because some of the problems with those cards is that they pro stack, they have the bonded melee condition, which means that something like surrender we're gonna be welcoming them and removing Reaver Hunters. So let's start with Reaver Hunters this time. We're gonna break the mold of going over golds first. So Reaver Hunters, you might have seen them. If you haven't seen the triptych art, go find it somewhere. It's amazing. I hope they'll use it as a loading screen, because yeah, it's incredible piece of art. And well, in ideal world, they'd implement the mechanics so that when you play more than 3 copies of it, it combines into like one art, same way that poor infantry does, but I wouldn't expect it to happen. So human soldiers for Northern Realms that have order, it's not getting 0 anything. On order, it spawns a base copy of self on this row and sets its base power to 1 less than self. So since we're talking base power, it will be a 1-point token then, right? And you cannot click a 1-point token after splitting, like after creating a copy. So that's not ideal if you wanted to infinitely click it. But considering you have Adalias, you have reinforcements, etc., etc., you can get enough copies of Reaver Hunters. And what do? Bonded while on melee, at the end of your turn they damage a highest power enemy unit by 1. So we've seen the flanking crossbowmen and other soldiers pinging units randomly or targeted. Reaver Hunters in an arc get similar ability. I guess soldiers do be like copying one another across factions in that regard. The problem, as I mentioned, they go melee and they cannot multiply infinitely. But if you want more copies of it, you have a Reaver Scout that on order spawns a base copy of a light bronze soldier, excluding self. So it can be Reaver Hunter, but there are potentially better targets for it. I think the reveal video showed another Tridem next to Anna, but if you want memes, Sintrian Royal Guards is your best option. Reaver Scouts are nuts when working, basically 4p reinforcements with a body. Yeah, any soldier that you decide to put into your deck, if you feel like it's worth running it, Reaver Scout is also worth running it then, because why wouldn't you have +2 to whatever like soldier you put into your deck and another copy of it? And that's why I mentioned Sintrian Royal Guards. Well, you want as many copies of that anyway. The problem is the card doesn't have any zeal condition. It just plays as 2 with 1 armor that can be easily removed by a variety of things. It's also not a crazy tempo. Compare this to like Slave Driver. Of course, Slave Driver and Nausicaa have their own conditions, but Yeah, I don't know how to feel about everything in an R. Like Reaver Scout Hunters package seems a bit vulnerable, but we can continue looking. Reaver Scout, any soldier you run, we can go into the faction, not to this screen, NR. Soldier, crafting cost. Sure, yeah, this is what we want, right? If you really want, oh, we got a GG, nice. To pink Redanian Knights, you can. It's also on Reaver Scout spawn and play, so you don't lose like Blue Stripe Scout deploy. You get that. If you want, for some reason, play drummers, you can copy this. You can, of course, meme with Sintian Royal Guards because you want that deploy. Getting +3. If you are into the commanders, overtaking Rentry Gang once again, you can run it with Blue Stripes. It's not bad on Dan Bananas. Spawn and wait, what? How is it not bad? You need that one on the board already? Do you mean in that meme deck? The one that was abusing them for like Erland or replaying them with Pavetta, sure, but otherwise, nah. The problem is that you have to have one copy on the board, and if you already have it, you don't want to copy it. You misread. Okay, no big deal. Like I'm definitely like watching the old videos about the new card analysis. There are always problems of misinterpretation. I remember like nobody knew that Magic Compass gonna show you every legendary and not show you 3 of your like of created. I remember watching it with Andy and being like disappointed, and then turned out that Compass shows you everything, and yeah, it happens. So this is the Reaver Hunters, Reaver Scout combo that is planned to be implemented most likely by design. The bodies working together, but well, they have the support of epic and legendary. So Kenneth and Gar are human soldiers as well. 6 power, 9 provision with formation, so you can play it back row for 7 points. On order, they damage an enemy unit with 2 power or less. And whenever you spawn a soldier, it increases the limit by 1. It destroys, not damages, so if things are shielded, for example, it still removes it from the board. Now the question is, how do you get about increasing this value of order without them getting answered, because there is no whale, no anything. You can combine, you can play them front row and use your leader charges that spawn soldiers. It's not that rare. Well, mobilization needs a bronze soldier on board, and it's only 1 charge, so it's not that amazing. But if you for some reason are running stockpile ability, well, volunteers are soldiers. So you spawn soldiers, and in stockpile you have 3 charges rather with 5 charges. Pincer maneuver gives you 2 volunteers as well. Uprising not so much, but yeah, if you really just want a soldier and immediate payoff for some reason, you can do that, but yeah, mobilization would have been the best for that, or pincer maneuver. You cannot transfer the excess damage into points. Opponent can boost your target if you don't destroy it immediately, or they can use it if it's an order ability, so it's not the like solution to all your problems. But maybe. Plus, well, there are different ways of spawning more soldiers. You can grid it. You can get, like, if you know that your opponent doesn't run control or has to answer multiple things, you can drop them onto the board and do the Reaver Hunters, Reaver Scout shenanigans. So you can open with this and have this ever-present threat on the board for opponent to deal with. And then we have Boholt for 12 provisions. He has formation as well, so if you feel like risking it, you can play him back row, but yeah, goes front row as 2-point body. On order, since you played front row, gets the Zeal, spawn a base copy of a light soldier on its throne. So it needs a target. And whenever you spawn a soldier, it boosts self by 2. Well, you're not playing him on empty board, means that you spawn a soldier, that means that he lands as a 4. And bronze soldier gets copied, that's probably another 4 points, if not more. But once again, we just talked about the ability of spawning soldiers in an R by using leader. It boosts self by 2 per leader charge in mobilization. Why are you playing soldiers with the machines? Oh, like lowering cooldown. Nothing here has cooldown. That's another question. We can look at cooldowns. Well, Kirak Frigate has a cooldown and spawns another soldier. You don't have that many spaces on the row. Honestly, if you spam a leader and that and play other soldiers. The Rivian Pikeman, well, it's not really a cooldown unit, is it? This is sadly not a soldier, otherwise would have been. So yeah, there are not that many things for you to combine with if we're talking soldiers. Siege soldiers, machines combination possible. Maybe just pincer will be the answer if you really want to run those. There is also always looming threat of patch notes. Patch notes might just change 10 cards in a faction, and it's not spoken about before the dev video or patch notes themselves, so you never know. But once again, this seems fair. It seems fairer than Renfrey ever felt. Like, those are the faction cards that have incredible ceiling, maybe, but you need to work to get it. And it's a bit different from, say, Syndicate Professor, Junior, and that bunch that was run before. I don't have that many meta decks here to compare to. It's definitely Seems like something to work at. Instead of just slamming a multitude of Nausicaa Sergeants, or the deck that we played today with Spotters, you don't really work on anything. You just spam the same bronze over and over again, and then have like Renfri in combination with that. Is this one? No, I don't think I have meta decks this season. I haven't been playing. Okay, yeah, there it is. Like, so sure, this is more mid-range that doesn't rely on engines. But is it good? Or do we rather have something like this? Now the problem is, if this is like ever good, Surrender comes into the meta, River Hunters disappear. If there is like row stacking present and people try to make this happen. Surgeons at the fair, 4 for 5 in round 1. Hi Merson, yeah, true. True that. So this is an R. Seems fair. No big concerns from me for now. Those things combined with leader, I'd first need to see how do you implement leader, because pincer maneuver on its own just burn through for getting points on 12 provision Boholt. Well, it's not free, you're literally using your leader just to boost your card. But definitely something to deck build with. Between the frigates, between leader charges, something might be there, and between like the reverse multiplying. There are combinations, so but it feels fair. It feels fairer than the neutral expansions we had, because, well, for neutral cards with the limitation, you need for them to be bonkers then. On the spoilers I've seen though, seems like a good card design. Yeah, that's what I like. Now, my issue is, if this is weak, people are gonna continue playing the old stuff, the broken ones, the Renfri, because I don't believe Renfri gets another pass of nerfs, right? Maybe it can, but how much can you nerf it? But the same thing is like about this. Sure, the Brockwork Warrior, you should be over the moon with the cards they introduced, by the way. Imagine playing Brockwork Warrior that damages a unit by 3, and if you fulfill condition, it smacks another target by 2, and then smacks another target by 1. So you get to strike, hit enemy side of the board 3 times with a 4 provision warrior? What? Isn't that a dream? But yeah, you need to fulfill condition of not killing units and putting them into the red numbers. Good thing those, yeah, you're not killing them, you're just pinging them a bit, and well, 3 damage. You can just find another target on the board. But once again, besides the solver being immune, it feels like a package that you can play and experiment with, and maybe not run like Renfri gang, trees, and all the shebang with it. So when they mentioned that they learned their lesson from Golden Necker and Renfri releases, and mentioned the devotion buffs, those are not direct devotion buff because the cards don't have devotion on them, but potentially they like are combinable not only with Renfris and Golden Neckers and scenarios, but like in the faction tight mechanics, they make sense together. Feels like they have taken board state way more into account with these cards. Yeah, like the conditions of this having 3 targets on the board, and also how you implement it. You cannot just smack the same target. You need basically 3 units like Falibor does, but instead of dead blow you need the condition of non-dead blow. This is interesting in that regard, that you have an ability of just playing it, not killing the wolf and just sniping it later with a random ping, versus playing Warlord and killing the wolf. You cannot see wolf, but basically it's a 2-point unit you give your opponent. So yeah, my only issue is, as I mentioned, the immunity. For this, you get to play with the tags. I'm so sleepy. I reach. No, yeah, that's on you though. Ulula is here, but the letters do seem similar, so we'll forgive you. So yeah, the board state on this, like, it matters for the cards which gangs you control, which gangs you don't control. The only thing that scares me, if all this falls apart because it's too inconsistent, all of them. Yeah, the Sigi seems insane. Sigi can play 2 golds in one go while playing as a 4-point body on your side of the board. Plus you can lower the tribute by playing units, and you can pick actual collusion if you succeeded with all of that, developing tags. This is the most talked card, most likely. People calling it broken. Sigi into Professor. Yeah, see, like, also consider how King of Beggars works. But yeah, curious card, and curious the decision to try and solve Syndicate's problems with bank, not hitting what you need. Now you can deck build and don't run too many categories. Bot eye, bumpy horses. Hi Dan. Yeah, it also makes me happy that we got like recognizable character from the game. Sure, the other 3, 1 is returning and 2 are basically neutral. Here, yeah, Ulula, Sova, parts of the folklore of Skellige, but I wasn't really aware. Okwen is, well, yeah, seems to be just a created character. The bronzes are not really named characters. Yeah, you cannot see the wolf, but it's actually a unit, and you can get a copy of it yourself. Neutral wolf's crying, why not wanted yet? Biggest question of them all. Considering that the counterpart of the wolf's peasant militia got a buff, maybe it is time. Although this archetype doesn't seem to be like beast centric. Sure, it has a beast spawn in here, and Sove interacts with beasts, but overall, yeah, some people might have hoped that Corrupted Flaminica and the Crow dude gonna get a support. Those people might be a bit disappointed. So we covered what, 4? I don't expect it to be like a broken as a package, but combined, we only have knights for Inar. at the moment. And especially if immortals were out of like normality and getting nerfed, there are new builds to be discovered.